Yo, what is up, guys? So we got we're not working on these 240s. We're actually working on my Z today, as we got a little bit of free time because we got hit by the city. So we're just waiting up for them to do an inspection and get everything cleared up for the most part. So we're gonna be doing some suicide calipers. So what that means is basically, since I have dual caliper set up on my car, but I don't have the calipers yet. So for the time being, so we can test out the car and make sure everything works good, we're just gonna run basically the rear brake lines. We're basically gonna block off the rear brake lines and switch it over the hydro to the rear calipers and have only front brakes working for the pedal. And that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and just kind of situating some other things to kind of clear things up in the car, clean up a little bit, and just get the stuff ready to go to the track and get it situated. All right, so I started off with doing the so like I said, we're gonna do the suicide style hydro brakes. So basically these lines are gonna be running pedal just for the front brakes, and then the hydro is gonna be for the rear. So basically what I'm gonna be doing is tapping in the two lines, which is, you'll see right there, these two, on the one on the bottom right here, the ones that go to the rear calipers. This is where the fluid goes in for the rear, and that's, or for both sides, and these are the front. So these two are for the rear left, rear right, front left, front right, and the bottom ones are the ones that go to that. And for the front, it is something completely different. They go from, I believe, the pedal down or somewhere else, but you know, I don't know, I might be mistaken on as far as like where they necessarily go to, but I know I've done it before. These two on the bottom right there are for the rear calipers, so I'm taking these two off and I'm gonna block them up with these. So I'm blocking them up with these right here. This is the original one, and these are the block off ones. Use some Teflon tape and block them up pretty easy. There is a size for you people that want to see. It's 1/8 by 27, and that will easily plate. Now, normally I don't recommend that you cut these like I did here, but I just need to measure the size, so I did cut it. Either way, it's not a big deal because I kept the old fitting, and I can just basically flange this out and put it back into like normal. So it's not a big deal for me whenever I go back to dual calipers. But for now, that's just blocking off the plate, so that way when I hit the brakes, it doesn't obviously shoot fluid through the back, and it doesn't squirt out through there. It just works just for the front. But like I said, we're still gonna bleed the front because opening that causes air to get in, and you know, that kind of ruins it. So that we're gonna bleed the front brakes, and then right now I'm gonna run the lines to the back because this already has the hydro of the lines, but it didn't have the dual calipers. So the reason it's called suicide brakes is because pedal just for the front, hydro just for the rear. So when you hit the pedal, the rears don't stop at all, only the hydro does. So a lot of people get skeptical because obviously the brakes are not as aggressive in the front when you're doing just the two instead of all four. So it's called suicide for that reason. But we're gonna be running the line, so I'm gonna take the wheels off, jack up the car, and see where we're at with that. All right, so in here, it's really unusual to do it this way. Normally, if you get heavy PVM lines, it already comes with its own like actual, I guess like, what is it called? It's like a fitting, but one that goes into the caliper and then one onto this. They're stainless steel braided lines, but I didn't have them when I got the car. It just came with the lines and everything, but no fitting. So I had to make my own way. I put the OEM fitting down here with it's another brake like tube right here, and just made my own adapter basically to grab onto this so it's on. Did the same thing for both sides. Got the interior. You want to light flashlight? More flashlight? Okay, right there. Right there. Yeah, on this side. So I got the lines ran from like the hydro. I'm about to bleed or start any fluid, start bleeding the brakes. So I'm going to drop the car just a little bit lower than where it's at right now because it's a little too high. So we're going to bring it down and start with the bleeding. So like I said, I got both lines ran. got everything down here basically situated. I'm just gonna, what do you call it? Just gonna zip tie a couple areas. No, where's the zip ties at? Where'd you get them from? Where'd you get the zip ties from? Yeah, so we got the line ran through the back, or the back of the hydro. Got everything situated back there. Got the lines ran to the bottom. I just got to zip tie one area where it's at. I had to make custom fittings to grab onto the PVM lines. And then in the front, like I said, I blocked off the ABS block, so that way the foot brake only focuses in the front and the hydro only focuses to the back. Like I said, I'm going to bring the car down a little bit. I'm going to get it a little more leveled so I can bleed the back, and then I'm going to go with bleeding the front afterwards. It doesn't really matter which way I do it, because the front is for the fronts, the back is just for the back, so none of that really matters the way I do it, and that's what we're going to get to. Alright, after trial and error, after going at it for like almost 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, we're trying to figure out the proper fitting, because when it started leaking, as you can see, that big mess I made. Again, it's not the prettiest way to do it, but it definitely works, and we just tested it out. And you can see like right where, this is where it stops, and it's already grabbing. Look at that little bit of play right there. Perfect, so. And it's on Brembos too, so you definitely don't need to pull that back at all. So, should be good. I might just adjust it so that way it's pushing a little bit more further in, so that way it's not too far back. And have a little more like play with it, I guess, so that way it fits better. But overall, we're good. We're just gonna clean up this mess, put the wheels back on, jack up the front, and then bleed the front brakes, and that should be it. So yeah, just like I said, these two are blocked in just for the regular front brakes. We're gonna bleed the front brakes because opening these two up obviously caused it to get some air in it. So we're gonna bleed the front now. Look how long they are. Okay, so we just finished up doing the rear calipers. We just finished up running the lines. So the lines were already basically ran through from the bottom. They were just poorly done, so we just fixed it, adjusted it. We had to make some custom little, is how I say it, like, what do they call them? They're like adapters. They're like little fittings and everything that we had to do to make sure we can run the PVM lines, because normally the PVM lines, if you want them brand new, they come with like a little specific fitting that goes onto the caliper, onto the lines. But I guess whenever they did it on this car, they got lost, or I don't know what happened. I had to make my own custom little fittings to make sure it fits with all that. As you can see, I'll show you in a little bit. There's a huge mess because we did try, like, you know, there's a bunch of errors in it. It was leaking, it was going through, it just wasn't fitting correctly. A lot of it was just like squirting out and everything, so we wasted a lot of fluid. And we're having some issues with the front where I bled it. I did the wrong side afterwards, or the wrong way, and I just let it basically get a lot of air in it, so now we had to do it all over again. But overall, we got that fixed. Hydro works really good now. It's very touchy. Tomorrow we're just going to go ahead and just test it out, see where it locks, see if there's any adjustments we need to do. We need to bleed it more, whatever it may be. Yeah, let it sit overnight, kind of see what it does on its own. Did some cool little things on the dash. So we just got those white gauges for the cluster. We fixed some of the radio components, and now the radio works on the car. We fixed the gauges because there were some issues where they were like falling out, fixed stuff like that. Everything else in the car seems like it's basically done and straightforward with it. That was just kind of the only thing holding me back from trying to hit the track. Now it's there, and now we're gonna see how that fits, or see how that works, and then we're gonna go test drive it and see if we hit the track pretty soon. But so right there, as you can see, that's where the gauges were having that issue of what I was talking about, where they're falling out. We got that fixed. I don't know from there if you can tell the gauges that we put on. So we put just some white gauges. You'll see it in the previous parts of the video. And as you can see where the hydro, that's full lock right there. So it should be really good. I'm not happy about, like, you know, you got to push that to keep it back where it goes. Maybe it'll adjust itself. Maybe with the movement, enough usage, it'll go back to its own place. But overall, that's very annoying to have to do that. But everything else aside from that, it's cool. Gauges look good. You know, the sticker seat, well, we put the sparkle seat in. Not today, but we did that the other day. Just got everything situated. Radio works, so that's pretty cool. Never had a radio in a drift car, so that's something different.